Welcome. Oh, hold on. Why is it still playing? Yeah, there we go. A bad intro right there, but welcome to BS3 Radio. Okay, that's my audio in the background from the YouTube stream. But welcome to Reaction Monday on BS3 Radio YouTube channel. Once again, we got another hot topic for you this week, talking about the top NFL storylines for the upcoming year. If this upcoming season actually happens, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to click that bell. You can be on top of all the content that we will be dropping each and every week. We got Courtney Harden.
What's going on, everyone? Glad to be back. Missed last week, so ready to rock and roll right now.
All right. We got Ty Mack.
What's up with y'all, man? You know, happy to be in the building as usual.
And we got Pops with the Washington football team.
Get it right.
Almost slipped up. We got an NFC rivalry going on right here. I got the Cowboys shirt on. Courtney got the Philly on.
Defending NFC East champions. Remember that.
So, today's topic, we're going to talk about 3 to 5 NFL storylines for the upcoming year. We had some new acquisitions by new quarterbacks going to be in new places. We got new coaches. So this should be a very fun conversation. A little bit of breaking news. If you guys didn't hear from earlier today, Big Ten has decided that they will not be playing football. The Pac-12 is in line with them. And ACC has said that they're going to play regardless. And we got more opinion on that. We'll probably touch on that a little bit later. But I think there's some very important and high quality storylines coming into this year because a lot of different movement, and we already know the quarterback movement that has happened. So we're gonna do it a little different this time. We're gonna go to Courtney. He's gonna give his number one, or if it's not in the order, Tanga's gonna give his number one. Dad's gonna give his number one. We'll kind of go round robin. So, Courtney, we go to you. What's the number one NFL storyline going into this year?
My number one storyline this upcoming season is: will there be a season? That's my number one. Because for real. I mean, I think that's got to be number one because we're on unprecedented times. We've talked about it for weeks, and now with college football on the verge of maybe being canceled or on hold. I think the decision now with the NFL, does that affect the NFL? I think that's one of the main storylines and one of the main questions, because you got COVID. Will COVID shut down college? Will it shut down the NFL as well? How the NFL is going to function? Health and safety concerns and challenges because of COVID-19. So I think that one right there is one of the main storylines heading forward, because now if college does shut down, the NFL, they're sitting back. They've had a lot of time to wait to see what all the other major sports are doing. And it seems like the only thing that's working is the bubble. The NBA is doing extremely well, much better than I even anticipated. And NHL is doing the same thing. Also, WNBA is doing well with the bubble. So it looks like the only way this may be able to happen to have a season is with a bubble. So I don't know if we can do it with the NFL with a bubble. So many teams, so many players. You're taking 51 players, 52 players mostly on a roster. And then on top of that, your staff and your coaching staff and things like that. I don't think you'd be able to do it with the 32 teams. But I think that's the main storyline heading to this NFL season.
Yeah, you got a great point, because that is probably the most important storyline. Because if we don't have a season, then there's no storylines at all. The season's canceled. So right. I like that one. I think that's a good one. Ty, we'll go to you. What's your number one storyline?
I think for me it's was it Belichick or was it Brady?
Yeah.
Belichick or Brady, man. We already see the marriage kind of, the divorce happen. Brady is now in Tampa Bay. Belichick has a new quarterback there, which looks like, if everything works out, Cam Newton will end up being the starting quarterback in New England. And we get to see if he was the mastermind that we believe he was, or was it Tom Brady really pulling the strings there? So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Everybody kind of has Tampa Bay penciled in as a really, really good team this year. And if you look at how that team finished the season last year, that defense was elite. Like, it was probably a top 5, top 10 defense the second half of the season. So they had figured it out. They were kind of turning it around. You add a quarterback in there, Tom Brady, who, again, can still carve up defenses, whether he's throwing it short, medium, or deep. And you give him 2 great receivers in Godwin and Mike Evans, right? So this is a team that's loaded with talent. You give them Tom Brady, they should be in the championship hunt. And then you look over at Belichick, and Belichick had a team who essentially was like a top 5 defensive team last year. And offensively, they weren't great, but they were good enough to get to the playoffs. And you add Cam Newton, who gives them a different variation. He can run the ball. He can throw the ball, but he's not the passer he's not the passer that Tom Brady was. But he still got wins, a former MVP. And like I said, we get to see if he can game plan and scheme to another championship, or did he need Brady? So that's what I'm looking forward to this year. If it even happens, as Courtney said, it might not be a season. So we'll see if there's going to be a season. But I'm definitely going to be watching both of those teams and seeing how that plays out. And seeing, like I said, Belichick is one of the greatest coaches ever. We give him a lot of credit for that, but maybe he can't do it without Tom Brady. We'll see.
Yeah, that is the $1 million, I think, question of this year. Shout out to Taryn Rodriguez. Continue support what we do over here at BS3 Radio. His top storyline, Brady going to the Bucs. That's going to be a lot. Cam Newton's going to be on a lot of our lists. Tom Brady's going to be on a lot of our lists. And then from there on, it's kind of a toss-up what's on our list. But I agree with you. Belichick is king of the coaches over these past, 10, 15 years. So what is it? Is it him or was it Brady? You seen what happened with Matt Castle that one year. They went 11-5. That was a long time ago. That was the last time Tom Brady got injured with Matt Castle. So this is unheard of times when it comes to New England and Foxborough. But Dad, we'll go to you with the Washington football team jersey. Is that Peterson?
Who do you think?
Is that 26? It looked like 26. It's AP.
Portis.
That's old school.
That's old school. That's Portis.
Yeah, man. That's
okay,
throwback.
On that one. I was not about to say Portis.
The U, baby.
All right, what's your number one storyline?
Well, Courtney kind of stole mine. I got to piggyback on what he said. As far as is there going to be a season, and because we got another young man retired. He opted out today. I don't know if you guys heard. I'm pretty sure Courtney heard. The Philadelphia Eagles linebacker.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Brown.
James Brown. Yep.
Right. He retired. Actually, it's a reserve/retired. He's on the reserve/retired list. But I mean, he's 26 years old. And after 4 seasons, he decided to opt out. He was earning a meal. He was kind of in the running to start, plus $550,000 guarantee. So and when you look at that, on top of him, you have another 60 that has opted out, because of COVID-19. But so I have that to consider my number one. But along those lines, he mentioned that will there be offline? We're talking about a college football season. So basically, if the NFL, if they create these 2 bubbles, division bubbles, and they have a season, which is my number one question, because you have any other players that will opt out because of the college football season, which appears to be hanging in the balance. Then the question would be, far as a Sports Illustrated story I was reading, will the NFL do scheduling for Saturday teams? So to kind of piggyback on if they have a season, if they don't have a season, if they do have a season, will they take advantage if the actual college season is basically canceled? Because I guess the Power Five commissioners are still talking. They're having a powwow with the presidents. And so, the Big Ten is out. But then, you mentioned ACC is in. SEC, the Southern Conference may follow. Pac-12, because of, the major schools in California, you're basically looking at an increase. So I'm like, well, if they cancel, just hypothetically, if they cancel, will the NFL opt in to do a Saturday schedule? Which would be interesting because if you're looking at no fans because they're in a bubble, they want to create as much revenue as possible. And if the college season cancels, you're looking at their broadcasting partners, which is CBS and NBC, Fox, ESNBC. They're going to want to receive that missed revenue. So now you're losing revenue from actual fans being patrons of the game. So now the networks will be losing money if the college season is canceled. So will they opt in NFL on Saturday? And if they do, then you're looking at the schedule. Will it be 3 games on Saturday like they have now, 1, 4, and 8? Will it be 1 game or 2 games, 4 and 8? So that's my number one storyline. If the college football cancels, will the NFL opt in to play on Saturday? And if they do, there'll be additional revenue for them because of the advertisements and endorsements, because they're going to lose money with no fans. And then one more stat, when I was researching this, I found out that in order for the broadcast games on Saturday, the NFL would have to secure an exemption under the 1961, I'm old school now, the one before y'all was even born, Sports Broadcast Act. And under the act, the NFL was allowed to bundle and sell its television rights so as long as it didn't schedule games on Fridays, and Saturdays during the college and the high school football season. So if the college season canceled, then they would be able to override, it would be exempt from that 1961 act and be able to play on Saturday. So that's my number one storyline.
Hey, that's some history right there. That was a history lesson. Yeah. I take that.
That's why we have you on here, man. Dropping those knowledge bombs and stuff that we didn't know.
Dimes.
Yeah, definitely. So my number one, which I wasn't really thinking along the same lines as Courtney and my dad, but mine's is Tom Brady. Tom Brady going to the Bucs. This was really unheard of. I thought all of this was really just a joke. I mean, I thought he was going to still be in New England. I thought he would still show up, still be the Tom Brady that he is. But when they said he was going to the Bucs, I was like, this has got to be one of the biggest stories, definitely of the offseason. Shout out to Lady J. Thank you for tuning in. We're talking top NFL storylines, but mine is Tom Brady going to the Bucs. We've seen Tom Brady in the Patriots jersey for so long. Seeing him in a different jersey, will his numbers be the same? Will he be able to produce just as what he did before? Was it his relationship with Belichick? He did get Gronk, so we know he does have one of his weapons that he loves, but he has other weapons as well, and that could be other potential weapons depending on what happens, with the free agency. But that's my number one story because he is arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. And when the guy goes to a different team, what does that look like for this season? So that's what I'm most interested in seeing, because Tom Brady is shown year after year that he is Mr. Patriot. And now he's in Tampa Bay, he's in Florida. And that's kind of what older people do. They end up going from the East Coast to Florida when they retire. You probably get Boca Raton playing backgammon and checkers and chess, with the old folks. But that's my number one story, and I think a lot of people are considering that as their number one story too. So let's go to number two. Number two on the list, Courtney, we'll go to you. What's number two on your list for top NFL stories?
My number two is the ratings of the NFL. I'm going a different route a little bit. So
yeah, you are. I like that.
You know, we know how we do. We do all this research. Like you said, brought up the old school research and everything too, which I like. But the ratings, how does this all affect the NFL? Because you have so much going on. We'll take it back to 2016 when Colin Kaepernick and the kneeling for racism, against racism and against police brutality and and things like that. And then now is brought back up to the forefront with everything that happened with Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, and now the players have got the voice. Now they have their voice, where Kaepernick was talking about this 4 years ago. So does this affect the ratings? Because last time when Kaepernick was doing it and a couple other players were doing it, Eric Reed and then, Malcolm Jenkins and a few other players were actually doing it back then. Now you're going to have multiple players using their platform, it seems like, more to bring light to what's been going on, and a lot of players are buying in now. So it's never too late. Even though it's 4 years later, it's never too late. Roger Goodell made that statement, maybe a month or two ago, that he's all in. So we'll see. We'll definitely see if he is all in, if he's going to allow the players to use their platform, use their voice, because these players are now they're coming together. And like I said, the last time this happened, it hurt the ratings a little bit. And I've been, with our podcast and us talking and just talking with other people in general, some people say they're not going to watch the NFL because of the kneeling and the protests. And some people are not even watching sports in general. But Mr. Sutter brought up a great point about that could help the ratings is if college football does it, if they get canceled, that opens up the NFL to have more slots to play. Friday night lights, Friday night football, Saturday. And then, you still got Monday, you still got Thursday. So I don't think that doesn't affect, anything, of them playing on Friday and Saturday. I think they'll love to do that because, like I said, they already play on Thursday nights and they play on Monday nights anyway. So yeah, the ratings with, the players kneeling and, protesting against the racism and police brutality, I think that's something to look out for. And then one more thing, the last time they did this, and our president, 45, Trump, I just can't stand to say his name, but it is what it is. But if he had a lot of power of the things he said on social media, talking about the NFL and things like that, and people followed him. So if he still gets that opportunity to say he's the president again for the next 4 years, and he says, he's against the players kneeling and things like that, will that have an effect too on the ratings? So it did 4 years ago. So my question would be, will it still have an effect in 2020?
Yeah, you got a really good point right there, because that is the name of the game. That's the name of the game for the NFL, is ratings and money. And if that drops off, what direction do they go? And how quickly will it take for Goodell to say, oh yeah, that support I said I was going to give, right. Been going down. So what I had said and what I'm going to do is going to be different. That's what I'm wondering. How much is Goodell willing to stick to it? Shout out to The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Make sure to follow him on YouTube. Does great videos as well. But that's a great aspect of it. I didn't really think about that either, but that is something that a lot of people are thinking about. The ratings, thinking about the kneeling, thinking about any type of protesting. Is that going to affect how they watch their team and how they pay attention, to the game? But Todd, we'll go to you. What's yours? Number two.
My number two is can the Chiefs repeat? Are they the real deal?
Is there? I like that one.
Or, what I'm saying, is a dynasty forming. And, you look at this Chiefs team, last year they were, I believe they were the #1 offense in the league. They were steamrolling people. Mahomes one of the youngest MVPs in the league. Was only broken by Lamar Jackson. One of the youngest champions in the league. Super Bowl MVPs in the league, etc. Man, this team has high expectations. They're going to be hurt by losing two key players. They just lost their guard, who is a doctor, by the way, which is crazy. He's a doctor, but he's sitting out because of COVID. He's going to be using his talents to help people. And Damian Williams, which was a really key running back in the Super Bowl, he's actually sitting out this year. So those are two huge positions. You have a rookie running back that will be coming in Clyde Edwards-Helaire from LSU. He'll be the starting running back this year, it looks like. I mean, he's probably the most talented running back on that roster. And again, you look at that division itself, the Broncos, I would say the Broncos got a lot better. They added a Jerry Jeudy and Hamler and KJ Hamler. And they're going to make that offense. That offense should take off this season. They've already had a stout defense for the most part, so they should be in the mix this year. Even the Raiders made some actually good picks. The Raiders drafted some talent for once.
Raiders,
and so that division should be really interesting. Of course, like I said, the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs is the head of the AFC behind the Ravens, of course. But I'm looking forward to seeing if the Chiefs can create that dynasty. They just paid Mahomes a lot of money. They paid Chris Jones a lot of money as well, who's their star on their defense, the defensive tackle. He wreaked havoc in the Super Bowl as well. So it'll be interesting to see if they can keep this up. They want to create a dynasty similar to the Patriots. So with that being said, let's see if they can win a couple back-to-back.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. But the Chiefs, if they can make a run like what they did last year, Mahomes is fat in the pockets. He just bought, but he is part owner of the Royals. So what does this next year look like for him? Yeah, it's big. This is big time for the Chiefs right now.
I also feel like he got slided in that top 100 NFL thing where they had a couple quarterbacks ahead of him. He's probably gonna play with a vengeance this year too. Like, how you put somebody ahead of me? I just won a ring, and I've been an MVP. Come on, man.
He's the best player in the league. He's the best player in the league.
They gave him a blank check. Like, write whatever number you want. Don't worry about it, Patrick. Whatever you want, we got you. Just slide it underneath my door before you leave today. What you mask on? Shout out to Kevin Gray Sports, 105.3 The Fan here in Dallas, man, doing big things. All right, Dad, we'll go to you. You're number 2.
Oh, all right. I know Mahomes is spending that money too. Didn't he just show up training camp with a Ferrari or what was it? Yeah. So he's spending that money, man. He's flaunting that money. Just another side note, people, son are retiring, leaving the Bay Area, coming to Atlanta too. So everybody's like.
Everybody go to Florida.
Down south, right?
Yeah, Atlanta's pretty nice too.
California money can go a long.
That's true. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
We lost you.
Oh, you froze.
Uh-oh. That's what I was. Oh, okay, you back?
There you
I'm froze. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. I think you're good now.
So, my number 2, I'm gonna stick with on the COVID-19 direction, and I'm looking at if they play and they come up with this bubble, it's similar to the NBA, of course. But just doing a little research, Seattle, they're always the pace setters, the trend setters. The trendsetters, they also, set the trend for as, legalizing the recreational marijuana, but they also set the trend in this new technology. So if the season does go on, they've come up with some technology to keep the players and the personnel safe if they kick off the season. So what they're going to do, this is a new technology from a company called Clear. And Clear is a health, and let me read it to make sure I get it right. It's a health pass software. And what it does, it screens the players, the coaches, and the support staff at the training facility to make sure that they're negative. Now, at the Central League's field, it's the first NFL franchise to use the service. And it's also was launched in May, and it's being used by the NHL in restaurants. So basically, their training facility, which is the Virginia Mason Athletic Center, each day the personnel is required to log in to this Health Pass app to verify their identity with a selfie photo. Then they answer some health screen questions, and when they arrive, the app is scanned at the entrance, and the user gets either a green light or a red light. If they get a green check, that means it's all good to go in. If they get a red check, they have to answer more questions. So when we're looking at this pandemic and all that we're doing through far as restriction in traveling and far as restrictions when it comes to group settings, you have to be social distance. Then even though there's no fans, when you have as many football players as you do, that can still cause an issue. So basically with the Clear, they're also finding ways to use it as a security software when it comes to traveling. So it's a New York-based company, and basically the technology is already being used at 50 different airports, being used across the USA, and it gives you a fast lane to make sure that you're clear and you don't have any positive scenes. Now, to step further, and being a born-again believer, a retired pastor, when you look at the scriptures, it talks about the end times. It talks about the mark of the beast. Mm-hmm. Now, me and the wife, his mother, who's former first lady, very devout in the scriptures and the spiritual aspects. So she said, "I'm not receiving no mark." Now, the mark is theoretically, when it comes to theological terms, is going to be an implant. And with that implant, you're going to be required to have that implant either to purchase things or to be able to go any place during the end times. Now, we're in a pandemic. We have a wicked king. so basically, so we look at traits. So basically, you're looking at this technology that's going to allow you to enter certain venues, also enter certain restaurants. Now, on top of that, you have different companies coming up with similar data. For an example, Fitbit. Fitbit just recently debuted a Ready for Work symptoms tracker. So you wear the Fitbit and it tracks you if you're positive, where you go, who you're in contact with. Now, Microsoft, with the United Health Group, they call theirs Protect Well. And they survey workers about their health within the companies. And also Amazon has a similar technology. So the first spin when it comes to NFL will be in Seattle. And if it's because it's under, test right now through different labs and also they're using it. If it's popular, that's my second best story. They're going to probably require, Goodell's probably going to require every team to incorporate some type of software, pass software, if it's not through Clear or Fitbit or something. And that way they can track these players, and that way they can make sure everybody's safe coming into the facility. So it'll be, in a sense, a certain type of bubble.
Yeah, you got a good point right there. And I could definitely see that happening, especially in Seattle, especially with California. You think about Silicon Valley, you think about, Bezos and the amount of power that he has. All of these major companies are definitely going to have an input and a say-so, because it's going to come down to the money and how much the NFL or whatever team is going to end up paying them. So you're right about that. That was another knowledge drop right there. I need a knowledge bomb.
Not a watch bomb, a knowledge bomb.
Right. Definitely. Man, my number two, I kept mine pretty simple this time. My number two is Cam Newton. Cam Newton going to the New England Patriots. I think this is a good location for him. you look at the conferences that he, the press conferences he's had. You can see that sparkle in his eye. You can see that hunger. He's already been pulling out, the Billy Blanks workout tapes. So he's already ready. It's not a matter if he's ready. The dude's ready. I think Belichick's mind and knowledge. You don't forget about Josh McDaniels and what he's been able to do. You put that with the physical abilities of Cam Newton. He should have a good line in front of him. Like, this should be probably his best year, probably second to the Super Bowl year when he won the MVP. It should be, based on what everything looks. So I think that's my other biggest story. I'm going to be watching the Patriots and the Bucs closer than what I've ever watched them before. For that main reason is you talk about that, the quarterbacks going to different locations. I'm a big Cam Newton fan. Year after year after year, he's just been one of those guys that's an electric player, number one. But number two, he just hasn't had the good protection, which ends up resulting in injuries, which ends up resulting in him being frustrated at the team, being frustrated at whoever. And I'm interested to see what his look is going to look like every single week, knowing that he's in New England. Right. Are they going to try to put a cap on, the feathers in the hat and the grandma scarves and stuff like that? So that's those Tom Brady and Cam Newton going to be some very interesting topics going into this upcoming year. So, Courtney, we'll go to you with number 3. You're kind of setting the trend on this list today. But what you got number 3 for yours?
Number 3, I'm gonna go on the field this time. I won't go with COVID and everything. But we know how what we just talked about with that. But my number 3 is the Chicago Bears and their QB competition. Let's see, you got Trubisky and you got Nick Foles. Nick Foles, he's always going to have a place here in Philly, for fans, winning their first Super Bowl. So I give a lot of credit to Nick Foles. I still feel that Carson Wentz is the guy. He's still the guy regardless. I mean, I know a lot of fans still think Nick Foles should have been still stayed here, but he was a backup for a reason, and he caught lightning in a bottle. And I take that Super Bowl any day of the week right now. But now that he was in Jacksonville, he got hurt the first game of the year, and he never recovered. He can't try to come back, and he lost his job again. So now he's over in Chicago, with Mitchell Trubisky, and that competition itself, I got my eyes on it because the Bears don't have no confidence in Mitchell Trubisky. Like, this guy was drafted ahead of Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. I mean, just to say that, it makes you think, like, what were the Bears thinking? And they had a chance to get either one of those guys, Watson or Patrick Mahomes. But they went with Trubisky. He had a good year 2 seasons ago, led the Bears to the playoffs. They won the division, but then they took a huge step back. So now they got Nick Foles, who knows how to win, and just to see if he, can he still keep that magic? It just seems like he has that magic in Philly. But he gets another opportunity, maybe get the starting position, and if he can produce, and they're two different quarterbacks. Trubisky's more athletic, likes to go outside the pocket. Nick Foles, he's more of a drop back. He gets the ball out of his hands quickly. He has a pretty strong arm, but he's not as athletic. So you got two different types of quarterbacks. So I'm looking to see what the Bears do with their quarterback competition situation.
Yeah, and to your point with Trubisky, man, that they have zero faith in that guy. Yeah. Everybody knows I'm a Tar Heels fan. Most people do know. When Trubisky got there after that high, I was like, who? Like, I know who a lot of people are. You drafting this high, Mitchell Trubisky. Like, no slight on him being at North Carolina, but come on. North Carolina is not a football school. We all know that. Everybody and their mama knows that. So that was a surprise when he got drafted there. But that is a huge storyline right there. Taryn Rodriguez says number 2 has to be the Dak Prescott saga. You right about that? And how is this season going to go? Being that he's on this 1-year deal. So that is a good point. What's your number 3?
Which is funny because I'm about to go to Dallas as being my number 3, and was about to say the Dallas finally get over the hump. I mean, Dallas for the past 4 years have been teetering with that really good to elite level team, but for some reason they just haven't been able to turn the corner. And with Dak Prescott, he just mentioned Dak Prescott being on the 1-year deal, having the contract issues, etc. You're looking at this team getting older. I mean, they are, that O-line is still one of the best in the league, right? But this team is getting older. You're going to have to start paying people. And typically when you start paying people those large sums of money, that's when the team starts to fall apart. Right. So you just got CeeDee Lamb. You just got CeeDee Lamb. You got Gallup. You got the receiving core this year. You got a receiving core. You got Dak. Dak threw for over 4,000 yards last year. You got the run game, the offensive line. You have all those elements. Can this team? Oh, and you got a new coach, right? You got a coach. You got Mike McCarthy. He's been in the Super Bowl before. So you have some pedigree there. Can you get over the top this year? If not, what do you do? Do you just blow it up and start all over? Because again, this about to start getting expensive. And Jerry Jones don't pay to lose; he pay to win. He don't pay to lose. Right. He likes to spend money, but he likes to win. And right now, you look at the other teams in the division. You look at Philadelphia. Philadelphia has been contenders. They've been making the playoffs. They've gotten in. And it's seemingly been the only team in that division that's really been consistent outside of Dallas, but they've been making the playoffs. Dallas has been kind of like I said, been teetering with it. So that for me, that's a point for me, or a position or a thing that I'm going to be looking at this season is, does Dallas really take over? They started off last season really well. I think they started off 4-0, right? And somehow they didn't make the playoffs. I don't know how. So you got to make the playoffs. Otherwise, it's over.
Yeah, that's a story for another day. You don't have enough. You don't have enough time for it.
We'll talk about that Eagles versus Cowboys when it happens, right?
But I mean, you're right. The Cowboys have been on this teetering line for the past 10 years, or since Jason Garrett's been there. They've been average, and now they there should be no excuses this year. You got a wide receiving core. The O-line is what the O-line is. You got a new coach. We got a question. I don't know if he's asking. I think he's asking this to us. Can the Saints get over the hump in the playoffs in what looks like to be Drew Brees' last year?
No.
No. I would love for them to, but there is just something about them when they get into the playoffs these past couple of years. It's almost like they had to pay somebody to get that championship. And from there on, under this Drew Brees leadership, it's been extremely hard to do it. But anybody else want to jump in on that question?
They seem like they've been punked the last 3 years by the refs, man. I mean, they're always good. They're always right in the mix, like you said. But for some reason, they just can't get over the hump in the NFC championship. So I don't know. I mean, Brees might go out on top. He might think, okay, this is my last year. We need to get it together. Let me play with a chip on my shoulder. And with his comments he just did, what it was like 3-4 months ago, he better hope that O-line protect him. Like, what? Yeah. I don't know. I don't think so. I got a couple teams ahead of them, like Seattle. I'm all in on Seattle right now. I don't know why, but I am. I like Seattle.
Hey, you're jumping into my number 4, sir. You jumping into my number 4.
I'm leaving it alone.
Right. Jumping into my number 4.
49ers. I think they're better than the Saints. Saints are right in the mix, but they'll be 3rd or 4th. I think in NFC.
All right. Yeah. Dad, we'll go to you for your number 3.
Well, my number 3, I'm gonna stick with the trend of what's happening right now. We look at the NBA. They're really promoting, racial equality and Black Lives Matter. And Courtney kind of touched on it. Will the the NFL continue in that vein with the Colin Kaepernick? Would they kneel, considering what the NBA is doing? Basically, everybody's kneeling. I only seen one person stand. And when you look at that particular subject, then you have to consider, will the NFL take a turn when it comes to being more fair when you look at the black quarterback? And my number 3 storyline is this the year of the black quarterback? Because you mentioned in the offset Tom Brady, you mentioned Drew Brees. They're all 40 plus. Okay, it's time for them we talk about retire and go to Florida. It's time for them to ride off in the sunset and let the young guys step up. So I'm looking at, is this the year of the black quarterback? And we all, look at the Super Bowl MVP, Patrick Mahomes. Nothing needs to be said about him. But with my count, I have 10 out of 30 teams, which is 33%. And it's probably the largest amount of black quarterbacks that we have in NFL history that has the potential. And I'm going to just run through them right fast. But Patrick Mahomes, like I said, he's the Super Bowl MVP. We know his potential. We know what he can do. We know he's a trendsetter. He's raised the bar so high that everyone else is trying to catch up. And basically, like T-Mac said earlier, are they going to be able to repeat? They got a couple more years with the players under contract, the top players anyway, the Pro Bowl players. So should they be able to go and repeat? And then you have Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, he's league MVP. He's right up underneath Mahomes, and in my opinion, far as running and far as throwing. We know he went over 1,000 yards, both 3,000 passing, 1,200 something, I believe, in running. So he's league MVP. His numbers speak for themselves. And then we have the trendsetter when it comes to black quarterbacks. You got Russell Wilson, a Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP up in Seattle. And I mentioned what they're doing now, and pretty sure that he's going to be elevated as well, considering what's going on as far as racial equality and Black Lives Matter. A lot of these, not only NBA players, but will the NFL players, will they speak up? Will they use this as a platform? And now I feel this is the year of the black quarterback. This is their opportunity to do it. We talked about Dallas, talked about Dak Prescott. Unfortunately, they franchised him. But when you look at the numbers, Jerry Jones, I know he's a businessman, but should he have taken, I think they was going off from 6, he only wanted 5, or 5, he only wanted 4, something like that. Should he have taken that and been up there in the $1 million bracket, even though he's making $1 million, but he's franchises, it's not guaranteed for a period of time. Houston Texans, Deshaun Watson, there you go. You got a, MVP caliber quarterback. He's a young Clemson, got a NCAA championship, so he has the potential as well. Then we looked at New England earlier. Somebody mentioned Cam Newton. Cam was in New England. He went from Panthers. Now will he be revived? Will his career be revived? And he can do and make some noise up there. So when you look at the Carolina Panthers, now you're looking at Teddy Bridgewater. Now, Teddy Bridgewater had a mediocre career. But when you look at the years that he had prior to 2017 in Minnesota, I mean, he had, 3,200 yards. In 2014, he had 2,900 yards. He had 14 TDs each year, 9 interceptions, 12 interceptions, 2014. His pass rating was 88 in 2015 and 85 in 2014. Like I said, he had a mediocre year last year with 1,300 yards. But I think he has the potential to make some noise. And since I'm from North Carolina, I want him to do well. Now we got to my Washington football team. and Haskins, Dwayne Haskins. Now, if Alex Smith is healthy, coming from the Bay Area, when you look at his history, when you look at his record, when you look at his yards that he put up, in the Bay Area, and also the yards he had, recently in 2017, he had 4,000. In Kansas City, 26-5. In 2016, he had 3,500, 15-8. TD interception. He had 104 rating in 2017, and in 2016, he had a 91% rating. Then when you go to KC, 95%, 93%. He threw over 3,000 yards each year. So it depends on if he's healthy. But the way the stars are lining up, I'm thinking Dwayne Haskins is going to have his opportunity. And he needs to step up and prove that he's a quarterback. He did like 1,300, 7-7, 76% rating last year. But if he steps up on the Washington football team, and then you got Kyler Murray in Arizona, I was a little skeptical even last year. He looks small. I know he's 5'10", they say, but he looks like he's about 5'7".
He looked like a midget running around.
I'm the makeup of his body that makes him look small. He just looks small, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to have a long career. But he has the potential. He's got the speed. He's got the arm. But is he going to have the passing lanes? Because you're looking at 6'7" linemen. So Kyler Murray, and then you look at the last one. Which is that Hawaiian brother, Miami, Tua Tagovailoa. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing his last name.
Got it.
Tua.
Just say Tua.
Huh?
I said just say Tua.
Tua. And he's basically going to be competing against Josh Rosen. Now, you got to look at, Josh Rosen. He had an okay, and with the Cardinals in 2018, 2,200 yards, 11 touchdowns, but he had 14 interceptions. And then last year, he got injured. So I really don't think he got a lot of competition, long as he's healthy. Now you're looking at the healthy aspect as well. If he's healthy, they may sit him a year just to make sure. But if he's healthy, the way he put up numbers, with Alabama, he's a superstar in the making. So that's my number 3. This is the year of the black quarterback, considering what the country is going through. I think the NFL is going to feel obligated to give these young brothers a chance.
I agree. I think they're definitely going to be pressured by what the other sports are doing, and honestly, that's the right thing to do. I mean, the majority of your players are black, so why not? Give them some respect? I mean, I think they deserve. We got a question before I get to my number 3. What do you guys think about Buffalo being the favorite in AFC East? They would have been the favorite if Cam Newton didn't come to New England, but they're no longer the favorite in my book. I think they would have been if New England would have rolled out Stedman. Then yeah, they probably would have been the favorite. But at this point, I see them in a close second. I think the Jets still aren't there, and I think the Dolphins definitely won't be there with this being the first year for Tua.
Yeah, I agree. I want to put Buffalo number 1. I want to say that because that defense, I like Tre'Davious White. That dude is a beast. He is a beast, and that Buffalo defense has been pretty good for the past couple years. And Allen, he's been coming into his own for his quarterbacking. He doesn't really get as much credit, even though his numbers are very, very similar to a guy in Chicago, by the way. But he wins somehow, right? He ends up winning. He wins games for him. And like I said, Buffalo's an interesting team. Like they typically play down to their competition a lot of times. So I can see them being that number 1, but man, you can't never count out New England, man. They've won that division, 15 years straight or something like that? Yeah. I don't know. Like, they don't lose the division. So
too many.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Buffalo too, because like you said, they got that elite defense. I think the only thing now is can Josh Allen take that next step to, he had a little taste of the playoffs last year, and so now it's up to him to really take that team to the next step. But as you said, New England's still in that division, even with Stidham. New England still had a chance, and they still got Bill Belichick as coach. So now you got Cam Newton, and if Cam buys in and he's what we think he can be in that system, I mean, Belichick couldn't unlock something in Cam that he's never, even with his MVP year, he can unlock something. So I still like New England in that division.
Okay. All right. So going to my number 3, Dad, you want to add anything on to that?
No, go ahead. I'm good.
Okay, cool. So number 3 is the Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals adding DeAndre Hopkins. How much does this impact their season? I think we already talked about Kyler Murray. I mean, the guy looks like he's 5'7", but this is a huge target. All you have to do is put it in the vicinity of DeAndre Hopkins. He can go up and catch it. If he has to, he can break you down, if you're the corner. So this is a big storyline because this was obviously Deshaun Watson's number 1 target, and the Houston, the Houston Texans decided to trade him, which I still don't fully understand that. I don't understand what they're doing exactly, but this was a major trade that went down. So I'm interested to see how it's going to pan out. What is it going to equal to? Is it going to equal to one more win? A couple more wins? Like how many wins is this going to equal to? For this Cardinals team. So that's my number 3. And DeAndre Hopkins is one of the best wide receivers in the game. He has proven that year after year after year, even though people may doubt him or whatever. He is the, I would say, top 5 in the game right now. So that's my number 3. We got a comment from Taryn Rodriguez. Josh Rosen has to be one of the biggest busts. Yeah, hot tub Josh. If you remember back in the day, in his dorm room, this kid had an inflatable hot tub. Like, if that doesn't have douche written all over it, I don't know what does. Like, you walk in this guy's room and the dude's got a hot tub in there. But anyway, he has not panned out. My hopes weren't too high for him. Being in UCLA, like what true competition were you playing? Did you go to a bowl game? I don't think you did. Maybe you went to the Sunset Valley Bowl or something like that. But anyway.
Jesus.
All right. So, Courtney, we'll go to you. What's your number 4?
Well, I'm going to let Tyon take that Seattle because I was going to go with that one. But
go ahead.
No. Well, I was going to go a different direction. I was going to go with Russell Wilson. Can he be the MVP this year? That's what I was going to go with it. Right now, this guy is a top 2-3 quarterback in the league. If it was for Lamar Jackson having that unbelievable season, I think Russell Wilson wins the MVP last year. But Lamar Jackson, deservedly so, got that MVP just with the numbers he put up, and Baltimore winning 13 games last year, so that was deserved. So yeah, can Russell Wilson win the MVP and lead Seattle to another Super Bowl, which I think he has a great opportunity to do, because I mean, Russell Wilson, if they just allow him to throw the football, I mean, they're still a run heavy team. They got real good running backs, but you still got an elite weapon in Russell Wilson who can beat you with his arm and his legs. And I was reading something. I knew this, but I read it the other day, and I was like, Russell Wilson never got a MVP vote. That is crazy. Like that to me, that's ridiculous. Like, this guy is elite of elite. Like, he's never got a first place MVP vote at all. So even with what he did last year, he's never. It was something like he's never in the top 3 or top 5 in MVP votes. This guy's one of the best players in the league, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and now Seattle is definitely all in. They're building that defense back up again. Also, like I said, offensively, and Russell Wilson never had really had the receivers like that. He's always had the run game, but he's never had like elite receivers. Still really don't have elite receivers, and he still continues to put up huge numbers. And Pete Carroll, like I said, he's from the old school. He loves to run the football. He's a run-first offense type of football team. And now, Russell if he's able to, they allow him just to air it out, give him that run. He can. I think he can win MVP. So that's my number 4. Can Russell Wilson? Will they allow him to really get into that offense, pass the football a little bit more? Because we're getting to a passing league. We're in a passing league now anyway. So, and he's an elite of the elite, top 2 in my opinion, behind Mahomes. So yeah, can Russell Wilson, will he finally win an MVP and then maybe get to a Super Bowl?
Yeah, that's interesting right there. And Russ is been consistent, man. If there is another consistent quarterback like Russell, I don't know if we can really truly name one over his time playing. I mean, he's just been the real deal. But Ty, you wanted to go a different direction? You want to add on to that?
Well, I had my number 4. I had the NFC West. Man, who comes out of the NFC West next year? We already saw the 49ers. I think the 49ers, I don't know if we consider them darlings of the season last year, because the year before they weren't in the playoff hunt at all. I think they were like they got a top 3 pick, right? And then the next year they're in the Super Bowl. So, do we consider them darlings, or were they just like, hey, they just had so many injuries that finally being healthy, they showed us how good they can be. All right. But you look at the Niners being the top team in the NFC West, and you look at Seattle just adding Jamal Adams, and that is a huge pickup. That is a huge pickup for Seattle. Even though I'm still worried about their pass rush, but that's a huge pickup on the back end. They got somebody who can lay the hammer, especially against a team who runs the ball as much as San Francisco. They're a team. The Seattle has built a team that looks like they can stop the run, right? When you look at them, you look at a team like Arizona. Arizona added Hopkins, as you pointed out. They drafted Isaiah Simmons, who's like a hybrid linebacker, strong safety type guy. They're another team. Like, these teams are building up to stop the 49ers. And, of course, you got the Rams, who just had a down season last year. After what's the quarterback name? I can't think of his name right now. After he got paid, he's been pretty much trash.
Goff.
Yeah, after Goff got paid, he's pretty much been hot garbage. But again, it's still a Rams team. They loaded up for that one Super Bowl year. They got to the Super Bowl, and then they kind of fell off. But just to put in perspective, the reason why I brought up the NFC West, the NFC West has been in 5 of the last 8 Super Bowls. 5, right? Seattle being in 3 of those, I believe. The Niners being in 1, and the Rams being in 1. Yep. So, I'm sorry, Seattle being in 2, the Niners being in 2, the Rams being in 1. So, this is a division that is typically really, really competitive. It might be the Cardinals' time. The Cardinals might come out of nowhere this year. You never know. But this is a division that you got to look at because they're consistently playing great football. They're kind of going at it, and they set the bar pretty high for the rest of the league.
Yeah, and the Rams, like, what happened to them to go from where they were in the Super Bowl to the next year not making the playoffs at all, and at 9-7? I think that just goes to you're only good for a short amount of time. This is the NFL; they're all good. Like, every team is here for a reason, and they ran, and of course they're running into the 49ers and their resurgence. So, but I think the Rams will be back. I think the Cardinals will be better. You give them at least a couple of wins more just for having Hopkins. I think you can add that in. We'll go to your number 4, Dad.
All right. So since I guess Tyon had his Seattle taken by Courtney, he decided to take my 49ers. West, I was going to stay out there in the Bay. And I was looking at the 49ers as well. But I'm looking at Shanahan.
Uh-oh.
That's my top story. Is Shanahan, if they make it again, will he get out of the way and let the running back win the Super Bowl? He's going to try to prop up the quarterback. In this case, is Jimmy G. Buffalo, or as Stephen A. Smith liked to call him, porn star Jimmy.
Porn star Jimmy. Yes.
But look at this roster. I know Tyon said, the darlings of the NFL, probably because of Jimmy G, but I mean, they got some ballers, man. I mean, George Kittle. I mean, this guy's a beast,
monster.
And as long as he can stay healthy, because he reminds me of Gronk, and you can only run over so many people so many times, and eventually your body starts to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
So if he can stay healthy, then you look at the running back, Mozart. I mean, this guy, he's a beast, man. And if they would have ran him in the Super Bowl, I'm not sure what the turnout would have been. Same thing when he was offensive coordinator here in Atlanta for the Falcons. If he would have ran the ball in the Super Bowl, would New England, would they have come back and won that championship? So will he get out of his way? I mean, you look at, the defense. You got Bosa. You got Richard Sherman holding down the DBs. So I mean, the defense is very prominent. They're good. You got good wide receivers. Deebo Samuels. So I feel that they got a squad where they can get back, to the Super Bowl. And then you're looking at the competition. I'm not giving, New England, even with Cam, I think that's the first year it'll be hard for them to make it. I'm not giving Tampa Bay, even with Brady, because I think the first year in his age, I'm looking at those two getting back. And if they get back, will he be able to get over the hump, Shanahan, and get out of his way and let the running back, bring it home for him? So that's my number 4. Going back to the Bay, I look at this team, man, and they're just stacked.
Yeah, you're right. And Mozart got a little testy with the organization. Whether it was that last week, I mean, which he showed his worth throughout the playoffs. Clearly, he did. So there's no reason to say, "Oh, we don't know what you can do."
Right.
He already showed you what he can do. You don't need to have any more questions about that. But that defense too, like I dare a lot of people to name 3 people off of that defense, not name Richard Sherman. And a lot of people probably can't because it's a lot of no-name guys, but Robert Salah, that defensive coordinator, the way he's got all of those guys playing, they all play to the ball. Richard Sherman, again, showing his leadership. He's been in the league for so long. He's now the elder statesman, of the secondary. I mean, that team should be good going into this next year. But yeah, Jimmy G gets a lot of love. He's one of those, New England disciples. Anybody that leaves New England and goes somewhere else, they always got an advantage over anybody else. Right?
Can I add this real quick? One of the things that the Niners have done really well, and you see this typically with a lot of teams who have sustained success, they built the offensive line and the defensive line the way that it should be, right? So you look at their picks over the past couple of years, they have invested in both of those positions. That defensive line has 4 number 1 first-round picks, and they just added another one, right? And Kinlaw, right? Javon Kinlaw, yeah, right? So they keep on adding talent to that defensive line. They spent the money on Trent Williams to come over from Washington. At left tackle, they build the trenches where we all say that's where games are won at, within the trenches. They built some trenches, and then they're able to put everybody else, like you pointed out, the offensive defensive coordinators are able to put everybody else out there and let them do what they do. But those trenches be tough.
They built from the inside out.
They built from inside out.
All right, true. So my number 4. We are on number 4, right?
Yes, we are. Yeah, we're on number 4 still.
Right. My number 4. My number 4 is Ron Rivera and the Washington football team.
Riverboat Ron.
Riverboat Ron. He getting another opportunity to coach. He's got a young quarterback that he can help instill some knowledge in and help mold. They're going through an extremely difficult season ahead because you got people on both sides. Just continue to call them the Redskins, call them the Washington football team. People wondering what the name is. It's not just about him going into this season and X and O's. It's not just about X and O's. You got a lot of interesting storylines around you, but they don't have a bad team. The team's not bad. They're in the NFC East with some powerhouses, but I think they're going to be joggling, for that third spot, between them and the Giants, and the Giants probably end up being in last. We got no Giants fans on here, so we can trash them right now collectively. But Ron Rivera, you got another opportunity. You've been with Carolina for so long, got a new opportunity, got new ownership. I think they're giving him the reins. He was very vocal in making this change, the change of name. So I'm interested in Ron Rivera, the Washington football team. You got AP for another year. They just cut Darius Geis, who was probably going to get some run. So that probably, I'm sure that probably pissed him off. He had a domestic violence issue.
His career over.
Yeah, they got rid of him quick.
Career over.
With the quickness. But Riverboat Ron, that's my number 4. Looking forward to seeing what this NFC East is going to look like, because in order for the NFC East to be popping, we need all 4 teams to go for that top spot. That's what's going to make it fun. When you got a team that's like 2-9, it don't make it that fun anymore. So I want all of them to be good. All of them.
Can I say this? Because I know Mr. Surfer was talking about Haskins possibly have an opportunity to be the quarterback of the Washington football team for the future. But if he don't show up this year, looks like Washington's going to be drafting Trevor Lawrence with the number 1 pick. Sorry.
You better do it now. Better take advantage of this opportunity, because
it's the only opportunity you're going to get.
And if
Tank for Trevor.
Trevor.
Hashtag Tank for Trevor. That's going to be the new hashtag this year.
Yeah, right.
I don't know how long the season lasts.
Right.
All right, we got our number 5. Number 5, as we're talking about top NFL storylines, Courtney, we'll go to you as we round out this list.
Yeah, my number 5 is, we talked about him earlier, Lamar Jackson. Can he take that next step and build on the lack of playoff success? I know it's only 0-2, but you're the MVP now. You were the best player, the most valuable player last season, and as I said, deservedly so. I mean, he was a human highlight reel, man. This guy, he put out huge numbers. I mean, throwing the football, running the football. He broke Michael Vick's NFL single season rushing record for a quarterback with 1,206 yards, 1,206 yards. He's a dual threat, led the league with 36 touchdown passes, 113.3 QB rating. And like I said, he was the youngest quarterback at 23 to win the MVP. So now, you got to the playoffs. They were the heavy favorites to come out of the AFC last year. And this year, I think their predicted win total, I think, is 12 or 13 again. So the over-under is 12, I think 12 or 13, something like that. So pressure's on now. So now, like I say, he's 0-2. He played really bad in the playoffs last year. I mean, Tennessee took it right to him and jumped ahead, and those costly turnovers. And he still, to me, has to still prove that he can still throw the football consistently in the pocket, at least consistently. He did improve a lot, and it was a lot of dink and dunk passes and things like that. So now can he take that next step in throwing the football? I mean, he's a quarterback. I mean, I know they talked about, well, he should be a running back, should be a receiver. No, he's a quarterback. It's just that he just has to just improve a little bit more, maybe in the mechanics, throwing the football deep because he has the arm. He has the arm strength, and just got that funny motion. So now it's just now can he be able to elevate his game, and that team can they elevate and win with him in the playoffs? So my number 5 is can Lamar Jackson get over those playoff struggles and lead this team to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, that's a great number 5 right there. Ty, go ahead.
Hey, can they get my boy a legit receiver though, man?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, right.
Can they get my boy a legit receiver?
You ain't good as the receivers, yeah.
I mean, Lamar Jackson out there doing it with the triple option, man. Come on, triple option and full house, man. Come on, give my boy a legit weapon out on the outside.
Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown
with his cousin.
Yeah, with Hollywood.
Yeah. I mean, you're right about that though. Their wide receiving core. Their number 1 is Marquise Brown, aka Hollywood. Their number 2 is Miles Boykin. Who is that? Who is that guy? Their number 3 is Willie Snead, and I'm not even going to mention anybody else because I don't even know who they are. And then they got Mark Andrews at tight end. You can count him as a target, but come on, you got to give him some more targets. Definitely, if you want to see his full potential, you got to give him some more targets.
Give my boy some weapons, man. But my number 5, my story, I'm going to be paying attention to, is coming out of the Green Bay Packers. What's going to happen to my boy Aaron Rodgers, man? What's going to happen to A-Rod? Man, A-Rod is a bad man, and somehow this organization is already planning to get rid of him. So I'm wondering to see how this is going to play out. He's already came out and said, hey, they've drafted this guy, Jordan Love, and they plan on playing him sooner than later. So does, by week 7, week 8, are we seeing Aaron Rodgers in a new uniform? Let's say Chicago, Tennessee, somewhere where he can get an opportunity to get another ring. I was angry at Green Bay when they drafted, and not because they drafted Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love is going to be an outstanding quarterback, and he's a brother too. I like Jordan Love, but Aaron Rodgers been throwing to subpar receivers for the past 4 or 5 years, man. Come on, like this dude, he makes receivers. And so I think Green Bay has took him for granted all these years because he's been such a good quarterback that they have not went out and drafted talent to put around him. And they got a new coach, Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur. He's more of a runner. He wants to run the ball. Will dink and dunk, but more so running the ball and playing defense. And so they didn't address the wide receiver position at all. All they got is Davante Adams. And Davante Adams is a stud, but you need more than one stud on that receiving core. Throwing the ball to throw the ball to. I think if he's not out here this year, he'll be gone at the beginning of next year. But man, he's not there too much longer. And it'd be interesting to see where he goes. Like I said, Chicago got an opening. If this Cam Newton thing don't work out, New England, maybe.
Minnesota, that'd be crazy. That would be crazy. Right. And New England can turn into Oklahoma. You remember Oklahoma? Like past 4 years, they had Baker Mayfield. Then after that, they had Jalen. No, they had Murray. After
Murray, that hurts.
Now I don't know who they have this year. I think they got another transfer though too. But they could become the carousel for the top QBs that don't have a home.
Yeah.
The quarterback homeless shelter.
I mean, like I said, them or he ain't gonna be come back to the Bay, but he'll be close to it in Las Vegas with the Raiders. So that could be interesting. Derek Carr he ain't the quarterback of the future for the Raiders. We already know that.
Yeah. Especially under Gruden. Gruden already got him 1 foot out the door. He's just ready to push him.
And And Gruden likes veteran quarterbacks. I mean, you look at back in the day. I mean, he went and got a old Rich Gannon. So
yeah.
And if Rodgers is he gets traded, 25 of the 30 teams will want Rodgers as their quarterback. Easily. So yeah, he's still bad, man.
Yeah, I take Aaron Rodgers with half a shoulder. I'm sorry, that's bad, man.
Yeah,
he beat the Cowboys with a bad ankle.
With a bad
ankle. How does that even happen? How do you lose to a guy with a bad ankle scrambling? But anyway, all right, Dad, we'll go to you to round out your 5.
All right, to round out my 5, I'm on the similar tip as Tyon when you look at Aaron, but he's not as bad, but he has the potential if he can stay healthy, which is Carson Wentz.
Yes.
Courtney got excited.
Courtney, I got people in Philly, man, South Philly.
That's right. That's where I live. I live in South Philly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You got cousins up there. Oldest man, he's up in South Philly. So he'll get you a T-shirt too if you need some T-shirts.
All right.
But this guy, we talked about Aaron Rodgers and how you got Love, nipping at his heels. Well, you got to look at who they drafted, and that's one of my wife's co-workers' grandson, which is Jalen Hurts. So is Carson Wentz going to be able to stay healthy and get over the hump? I mean, he has a record where even 2019 he had Aaron Rodgers, that bad man type of stats. 4,000 yards, 24 TDs, 7 interceptions, 93 rating. And the 2018 he had 102 rating, 2017 101 rating. But can he stay healthy? That's the issue, and that's the question. If he can stay healthy, can the Philadelphia Eagles make any noise? Now we have to look at who they're playing with. Deshaun Jackson. Is he going to step up and earn his money? You got Marquise Goodwin. He's going to step up, earn his money. So they got a wide receiving core. Alshon Jeffrey. So, can he stay healthy and put them, not only in the playoffs, but can they make some noise in the playoffs? Tight end, he got Zach Ertz. The other tight end, he got Dallas Goedert. So, I mean, I'm looking at his potential. But like I mentioned before, is this really going to be the year of the black quarterback? You talk about Aaron Rodgers, how long does he have? Are they looking at, trading him? Well, if Carson Wentz doesn't do what he needs to do, what does his future look like? And they're going to put Jalen Hurts in there. He's going to get some reps, if nothing else, because Carson Wentz can't stay healthy.
He may be thrown in there.
Yeah, and with his luck, when it comes to injuries, he mess around and catch COVID-19 or something. This help catch the coronavirus. So that's the round out my number 5. I would have to go with Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay. Now, just a side note, Marquise Goodwin has opted out, so he will not. He's not coming up. But y'all did add Jason Peters, right? He's gonna be playing.
Yeah, he's playing guard. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he's gonna be playing guard. And just to go back to Carson Wentz, one of the he can be elite, definitely. But you talk about a guy that didn't have any receivers last year. Right. I think we were playing. I think all 4 of us were playing receiver last year for the Eagles. Last year, I mean, they lost Deshaun Jackson, they lost Alshon Jeffrey. They were throwing to 3rd and 4th string guys. They were throwing to guys I never even heard of by week 16, 17. But then they got enough. I mean, Carson Wentz had that unbelievable run those last 4 or 5 games, and they did make the playoffs. And this was his first year that he was actually healthy until that playoff game with that dirty hit with Javion Clowney. It was a dirty hit, and they knocked him out of the game. I mean, it was a third play. It was a third play of the game, and then the critics came out and said, "Oh, he's not healthy." He played all 17, 16 games. He just got hurt in the playoffs. So, but it is. I mean, it's a concern. I mean, he's 27 years old and he's had a lot of heavy injuries. So it's a huge concern. But I think he's going to have a big year if we have a year.
Yeah. He's taken a lot of major hits and a lot of major injuries. But if he can, that's the biggest question. Can he stay healthy? Yeah. And Jalen Hurts can mess around and get in there and make a run. Now, what if that happens?
Right.
We haven't even mentioned that, but what if that happens? Quarterback controversy type situation. But my number 5, I cannot do an NFL YouTube video and not mention the Cowboys. I can't do it. So that should be my number 5. Mike McCarthy, big game Mike. I just made that up, but anyway, the dude was in a barn studying film. Like, if there couldn't be a better coach that we could have gotten, even though I would have loved to have gotten Harbaugh, maybe, because I don't think Harbaugh's going to be at Michigan that much longer. But that's another side story. Even though he signed a lifetime contract, there's always clauses to get out of it. But Mike McCarthy comes in with the pedigree. He has coached a Packers team, has beat us twice, with the limping Aaron Rodgers. But I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to this team. You got tons of pieces. Like there's like I said, there's no excuses. We already know the main guys, Dak Prescott, Zeke. We already know Amari Cooper. They draft CD Lamb, who kind of just fell in our laps. We wasn't trying to get him. Our focus was not on CD Lamb, but he just happened to be there, so we just went up and grabbed him.
You know why you grabbed him, because the Eagles were about to scoop him 3-4 picks later. That's why.
Right. We're not gonna let y'all.
Right.
We're not gonna let y'all do that. But Mike McCarthy is, won a Super Bowl. It was a while ago, but I think he has all of the pieces. I think he's got a good staff as well. So these Cowboys, there should be no excuses this year. There should not. I don't want to see any 8s at all. I don't want to see 8 and 8. I don't want to see any 8s. I want everything to be above an 8. I don't care what it is. I want everything to be above 8s. And I think this team has what it takes. They got all the pieces. And this is Mike McCarthy's first year. If anybody is watching this and lives in Dallas or listen to any radio in Dallas, people were so ready for Jason Garrett to get out the door. We got what we wanted. Now let's see what he can do year one. If it's a couple of playoff wins, I'm good with that. But we cannot go into the playoffs and somehow lose. We can't do it. So that's my number 5, Mike McCarthy, the Dallas Cowboys, and I think we should have a good year this year. Anybody else want to add to that, specifically Mr. Washington Football and Mr. Eagles right there?
Go ahead, Courtney. Take care.
I have to admit, the Cowboys, they should be good. They definitely should be. But
that's every year too.
Yeah, but like Stephen A. Smith always said, they're accident waiting to happen. There's always something missing. They get you up there, they get them hopes up, and then they just snatch it. Your heart just gets snatched out. I think the only concern with them is their defense. I mean, offensively, they should be really good. They should be really good. If they stay healthy, they should be really good. But their defense, I mean, can they stop anybody? And I think that would be the only issue to me with them. Can they stop? And you're going to be in a lot of shootouts. It might be 38-35 type games, but can they stop someone? But I can admit, they should be good.
Yeah, Gerald McCoy, picked up Gerald McCoy. Got Trayvon Diggs. I don't know how much run he's going to get. We got Jalen Smith, obviously. We call him drop foot here in Dallas. You still got to have that brace to keep it. But, I mean, Jalen Smith has been balling, but he got exposed last year. There was a lot of games where he was missed tackles, a lot of games where he got exposed.
I mean, I'm wondering how y'all going to replace the corner that y'all lost.
Byron
Jones was good. You know what I'm saying? I thought they would pay him. I mean, I think – he went and got some money, but Byron Jones was good. I've always thought that the Cowboys' weakness on that team was the secondary, and to let Byron Jones go actually weakened the secondary a little bit more. I think the strength is actually those linebackers. Man, them linebackers go sideline to sideline. They're fast.
All day.
They're fast.
Yeah, they make plays. They do.
Yeah. So I think that's the strength of the defense.
Yeah, and I'm wondering how hot Clinton Dix is going to bring. I don't know if he's still the same I don't know if he's still the same guy. I know he was a corner, and now he's got moved to safety, but he's going to be starting day one. So a lot's going to be riding and depending on him.
Yeah. I instead of stick to the field, I want to go off the field. As Stephen A. Smith always said, there's a black cat running around that franchise. I want to know if Jerry Jones, if he come out of hiding after the racial uprising since George Floyd. I haven't out of Jerry. Now how is he going to react? Like I mentioned before, as far as the NFL kneeling during the actual national anthem, if they do decide to kneel, and how is he going to deal with that? So you mentioned everybody covered all the good players, offense, defense, et cetera, et cetera. With that black cat. And, it may be a Black Panther cat this time instead of a regular house cat.
Yeah, and I'm starting to wonder, does Jerry have COVID? Because I haven't seen or heard anything from this at all. Not even mentioning anything. Not mentioning anything about George Floyd, anything about blackness, anything about Dak, anything about Zeke.
Now, he might still be on that boat, that yacht that he was in with the draft. That's what he might still be on. He might be hiding there.
Selling the 7 Seas or something. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. But, man, great conversation. NFL top storylines. We got some good ones, has some similarities, but this was definitely fun. We will be back next week. It'll be a little bit different next week. I'll be going on with some of our hosts that are on BS3 Radio, the Ear Hustling podcast. So we'll work it out how we're going to get it together next week. But we got another video coming up next week. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to click that bell. You got any ideas on topics you want us to talk about? We can definitely talk about it. Sports, music, life, whatever it is. We will definitely get into it. So, Courtney, appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate this conversations all the time, man. Love topping it up with you guys, man. It's always fun, always informative. Can't wait to keep doing it.
Definitely. Ty?
Man, thank you for having me on again. Yeah, man, same as Courtney. Your pops be dropping all the knowledge, maybe dropping all the historical information. So every time I'm on here, I'm like, man, I'm about to learn something new. You know what I'm saying? I got that surface, that surface level stuff, and he got that like in depth. Like, man, I've been doing this for years type of information.
Right. He got the notebook from the notebook with the black and white players on the front. I mean, you stay with it. Dad, it's always great to have you on.
Oh, it's always good to be on, and you guys, keep me studying, man. You keep me Googling and keep me online, and I got to bring you something new. I can't come with the same old. But yeah, I always enjoy you guys, man, and appreciate you.
Definitely. So make sure to subscribe, click that bell, give us any thoughts and ideas. Have a good night or day. Like my grandmother used to say, have a blessed day or night.
Peace.